revealing wholeness. Anybody here ever felt lost and in want? Yes, it's all right, don't put your hands up, but yes, I see hands going up. And that's true of me at one time in my life. Felt lost and in want. In other words, you felt like not necessarily wanting in material, but wanting in affection, wanting in company, wanting in some way. Well, Dr. Holmes says that life is a perfect wholeness. The universe is a unit. God is one. It is impossible for man to feel separated from the Spirit without feeling lost and in want. This is why Jesus said he could do nothing of himself, but could work only as the currents of divinity ran through his personal mentality. That subtle something which runs through all things and which we call the thing itself, that energy without which nothing can be energized, that life without which nothing can live, that power without which nothing can move, and that spirit without which nothing can be, is God. It is only as we live in conscious union with the Spirit, he says, and consciously let it work through us that we really live. End of quote. So he gave us a long explanation about what it means to really live. And some people have read this before, but have not made the change, have not realized what it is to really live. See, because there's a natural longing of the soul, a natural longing of something within us. All of us have this. No one is accepted from it. No one gets off of this, because we all are expressions of God. We were all, God breathed the life of breath into all of us. The soul is like the breath of God. And there is that longing that happens as we work, as we walk, as we meet, as we live, or try to live. Because he says we don't live if we don't really fully understand this, and I will go into it in greater depth. But there is this sense of not enjoying well-beingness 100%, not feeling totally well. Although there is no physical illness, there is that spiritual emptiness. There is that sense of connection to something larger than oneself. And that only happens when we fail to recognize the truth of our own being. So what can you do about it? A consciousness of separation always results in multiple forms of illness. So if there's any physical illness going on, it's a byproduct, it's a side product of not recognizing, not feeling connected to the oneness. I will confirm that to you, because when we feel connected to that oneness, when we feel connected to that wholeness, we become whole. Your wholeness reveals the wholeness of the universe. The universe is one whole, as Holmes says, one unit. And so when we are separated from that one unit, separating means conscious lack of awareness, because we really can never be separated from God. But in our consciousness, a lot of people believe that they are separated from God. And that belief causes a manifestation on the physical plane of some form of illness. And so the lack of well-beingness, I say beingness meaning that it's ongoing, the lack of well-beingness is evidence that we have somehow drifted away mentally, emotionally, spiritually, have not fully connected in our consciousness to experience our oneness with God. So that consciousness of separation always results in some form of illness. The conscious awareness of oneness really does create health. It does. If you feel one with the universe, you begin to feel happy. When the brain recognizes that you're feeling happy, it starts to send messages to all the cells in your body to start feeling happy. And a whole bunch of happy cells begin to dance and live and look forward to your awakening. And that's how you feel well again. An unhappy person is not well. Even if they don't go to the doctor and they don't have a diagnosis or a prognosis. The fact is, if you're unhappy, you're not well. We are here to be happy. And if you're not happy, there is something going on that you have not fully surrendered or embraced the oneness. A consciousness of separation. Jean Houston wrote a book that I love to read too, and she said the book is titled The Search for the Beloved. And here's what I found in there that she had written a long time ago. One of the reasons, she says, one of the reasons we are not possessed by the passion for the possible is that we do not have a sense of the naturalness of ecstasy. Interesting, isn't it? She said the healing and holding of the self and others in the gaining of greater wholeness, healing, happiness, restoring balance, thus the extraordinary is experienced as ordinary. You become a channel, or if you will, a way through which the forces of wisdom and the forces of healing can manifest. And that's what Jesus was talking about. He says, I can do nothing of myself. Unless that power is flowing through me, I can do nothing of myself. It is the Father within me that doeth the work. And this is the same thing she's talking about here. When we embrace the Spirit, when we embrace that wholeness and that oneness, we become a channel. We become a way in which the demonstration of that wholeness begins to be expressed, and we begin to help people wake up. Ecstasy, then, she said, should be our natural state. Wow. Ecstasy should be our natural state. I know that not all of us in this room have embraced that truth. Ecstasy, I'm going to say it again, is our natural state. Wow. We are here to be happy. We are here to experience ecstasy. This is not a philosophy that says you have to be down in the dumps and trying hard with all your sweat and blood to try and please God. No. We believe it is your natural way to be living in ecstasy. Now, I'm not going to ask you to show of hands how many people here are living in a consciousness of ecstasy. I saw one hand go up even without asking for it. So when we grasp a concrete wholeness, concrete sense of wholeness, the universe begins to respond to that embrace, to that getting it. When you get it, the universe says yes, and we begin to feel it. We begin to feel on the deeper level, the more personal level, we begin to really feel that something, that energy that flows that we read, without it, no life can live. In order to really experience what it means to live, you have to live in a consciousness of ecstasy. So if you're allowing life to beat you up, that means that you have disconnected and you're looking in the wrong place for the connection. You're looking at things. You're looking at the outer life to find the connection. It doesn't exist there. That is there because of the inner lack of connection. So we must have an inner reconnection, an inner knowing. When we grasp, I said, when we grasp that wholeness, we will begin to live as she said. Live as if the extraordinary is ordinary. living in a consciousness of ecstasy. The ordinary, the extraordinary. You do need to become a channel. We're not here just for ourselves. We're here to become a channel. But through our consciousness, our feeling, our enjoyment of living in ecstasy, that automatically begins to happen. That we are a channel to someone else's blessing. We are a channel to someone else's awakening. We are a channel to the ahas that people get. And life reveals itself, Holmes says, to whoever is receptive to it. You may say, well, I've never rejected life. No, but that doesn't say you've openly accepted. You were ready to accept life. You can't really experience what it means to live until you live in a consciousness of ecstasy. And I really mean that. Life reveals itself to whoever is ready to embrace it. That's the inner sensing. She said that some inner sensing happens. When we make that connection, an inner sensing kicks in. You don't know how you know, but you know. All of us have experienced moments of that, and we call it intuition. But it's an inner sense of some kind of development within us. That urge is being satisfied. We are walking around all the time without having a soul connection, a conscious soul connection to the source, to the wholeness that is there. And I'm not saying that you have to be in the consciousness of sitting in a church all the time. No, because that doesn't do it either. Millions of people right now today are sitting in church, unhappy. Unhappy. And I am afraid to say in some Science Mind churches too, people are sitting and are unhappy because they have not been awakened to that wholeness that is within them. Not only that the wholeness is within them, but a conscious connection to the universal wholeness. This is called your personal cosmology. Holmes talks about when you have a personal cosmology, it means that that's the image to which you put out to the universe. The universe is the law that has to reflect back to you. So if you have a disconnection, if your cosmology doesn't line up with a consciousness of wholeness, then you are giving the universe an opportunity to reflect your disconnection, to reflect your lack of connection. And that's why some people say, I tried. It doesn't work that way. It's a realization. As soon as you realize it, it will happen. As soon as that aha takes place. You know, Dr. Holmes again says, all men seek some relationship to the universal mind, the oversoul, or the eternal spirit, which we call God. And life reveals itself to whosoever is receptive to it. That we are living in a spiritual universe, which includes the material or physical universe, has been a conclusion of the deepest thinkers of every age. That the spiritual universe must be one of pure intelligence and perfect life, demonstrated by love, by reason, by the power to create, seem an inevitable conclusion, end of quote. And that's on page 32, so it's early in the Science of Mind. If we really get this, the extraordinary will become ordinary. In other words, it will become an everyday thing in your life. Not that it's going to lose its joy and its beauty, but it will become joyfully beautiful every day in your life. In other words, your physical ailments will go away. because our body is a response to our consciousness. If our consciousness is a consciousness of separation, I still don't believe in this oneness, this unity, this cosmology. No. Then the body says, okay, you're going to be disconnected. See, your body is made up so that it's fine-tuned to be in harmony with the wholeness, with the universal wholeness. If we're not in harmony with the universal wholeness, we are going to experience discord. And if the body is discordant, you're going to have it's going to manifest in some way, a way that you are most susceptible to an illness. There is a natural yearning of the soul, as I said before, for union. Everybody's walking around as if they don't know where they're going, they're not sure. That yearning for union needs to happen. When union happens, you feel it. No one can tell you how you're going to feel when that happens for you. Because, why? We are all unique, special, and inimitable. One of a kind. Each of us is an individuation only one time, never to be repeated, exactly like you. So I couldn't tell you what it would feel like when you get that connection. You will know when you have it. It'll occur to you. Something inside of you will say yes. The inner sensing system will develop, and you will recognize it. You will know it. What it is for me is not going to be what it is for you, because you are different. Different in your uniqueness. It's not separation, it's uniqueness. That's the difference. It's not separation. We're not separate, we're unique. We still belong to the same life, of the same oneness. We made of the same essence. How it manifests in you is specialized. Can you imagine that? God specialized in creating you. Unique, inimitable, one of a kind. And if you don't tune into that vibration by getting connected into the wholeness of the universe, you will feel discord. And that discord manifests as illness. So, let us make ourselves available to life. Make yourself available to life. Close your eyes for a minute. And let your mind be focused on the limitlessness of the universe. It is limitless. It's expanded. No one can fly out of the edges. There are no edges to the universe. It is massive. But you know what's holding it? Love. Love. Ecstasy. It is so in love that it cannot be separated from itself. That's what you want to join in. That's the feeling you want to get, is this connection that is so sweet that it is ecstasy. We're here to live in ecstasy. Experience that oneness. I can't force it on you. That's something you have to do by yourself, in your own uniqueness. Experience that ecstasy. Feel the joy of connection to something greater than you. God is in you. God is also around you. That mystery of oneness, that something greater than we are, bigger than we are, can be in us and we in it. Wow. I am in it and it is in me. And I recognize that I am in an inseparable oneness with the wholeness of the universe. When I recognize that, something kicks in. That inner sensing begins to recognize the joy, the ecstasy, the sweetness of living with God. Holmes says we don't live until we have this connection. Now you can open your eyes again. And I want to read another part so that you could hear the end of this. This is how Dr. Holmes says he walks. You have to develop how you walk. But listen to what he says. I contend with none, argue with none, and am filled with wonderful peace and light. There is no uncertainty about my future, and no fear as a result of my past. I live in an eternal now, which is filled with good alone. Goodness and beauty follow me. Peace and joy accompany me. Happiness and wholeness fill my entire being with the realization of love and perfection. End of quote. That's how he walked in the consciousness. What is your statement of your walk? How will you write your walk? How will you describe the way you walk in the consciousness of oneness, of wholeness? I have written 10 ways in which you should take this to heart. Take time to muse. Take time to reflect. Take time to be silent. Take time to be in awe. Take time to contemplate. Take time to meditate. Take time to be alone. Not to be lonely. Take time to be alone. Take time to be quiet. We all need this. Take time to hear the silence. You can't hear the silence if your environment is noisy. Take time to be alone and take time to hear the silence. And take time to know yourself. When you know yourself as part of the wholeness, ecstasy will kick in. Do you dare to live in ecstasy? 5 heads went like this. I want to see all our heads go like this. Are you determined to live in ecstasy? Yes. Now we got it. And the joy of God be with you. Namaste.